I'm 71 years old, and this is the first time I'm saying these things like this, out loud, face to face. Not because I suddenly became brave, but because I don't have anything left to hide. When I think about that number, it's not the age itself that scares me. It's the speed. It feels like just yesterday, everything was still ahead of me. I wasn't a bad person. I say that with certainty. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't irresponsible. To many people, I even looked successful. I worked. I kept my promises. I tried to provide for my family. I chased the future. And from the outside, everything looked fine. At least, that's what everyone saw. But today, when I look back, I can admit that I spent 50 years of my life making one mistake. Not a big mistake, not a dramatic failure, a quiet mistake, a slow one, repeated every single day. I didn't lose my life all at once. My life was taken from me gradually. Through ordinary days, through mornings filled with hurry, through nights heavy with exhaustion, through phrases like, "Not now. I'll fix it later. Let this phase pass first." And the worst part is, no one tells you how expensive those words become. When I was younger, I truly believed I was living the right way because everything made sense. Work first, life later. Security first, peace later. The future first, the present later. Always later. I grew up in an ordinary family, not rich, not poor, but careful, cautious, afraid of judgment. From a young age, I learned that being good meant not causing trouble. I learned to stay quiet, to hold myself back, to delay my desires, to swallow discomfort, and to smile. I didn't know the name for it back then, but now I understand. I was practicing how to ignore myself. And when you ignore yourself long enough, others begin to ignore you too, not intentionally, out of habit. I was 23 when I fell in love. A calm love, a real one, a respectful one. My wife was someone you could breathe next to, someone whose eyes said, "You don't have to perform here." But even then, I wasn't calm. My body was with her, but my mind was always somewhere else. The next job, the next worry, the next version of the future I thought I had to reach at all costs. I believed love meant providing, security, working harder, never falling behind. It took me years to realize that love means presence. It means listening, really listening when someone speaks, holding a hand when someone is afraid, making time when someone is tired. And I didn't listen enough. I fixed things, solved problems, moved quickly past emotions because I was always in a hurry, even with the people I loved most. Years passed. I kept moving forward, promotions, projects, achievements. Eventually, I even started a small company, employees, responsibilities. The photos looked good. Me in the center smiling, a nice desk, a meeting, a handshake, a small celebration. But behind those photos, I was always tired, not just physically, emotionally. The more I ran, the less alive I felt, a quiet emptiness, as if I was slowly disappearing from myself. And no one noticed because I was very good at looking fine. When we had children, I promised myself I'd be a good father. I told myself I'm different, I'm paying attention, but again, work came first. I gave my children everything except the thing they needed most, time. One day my son, he was little, maybe 7 or 8, said, "Dad, you're always in a hurry." I laughed. I thought he was just a child. Now I understand. That sentence summed up many years of my life. And the painful truth is this: you think you're fighting for your family, but right there in the middle of that fight, your family slowly drifts away, not out of anger, out of your absence. Life never announces when something is the last time. The last time you sit next to your spouse without rushing. The last time you talk without checking the clock. The last time you feel healthy and assume there's plenty of time. My wife stood beside me for years. Quietly, patiently, kindly. She rarely complained. But once, just once, she said something I still hear clearly. I feel like you're living with your future, not with me. I defended myself, like always. I'm fighting for us, I said. But the truth is, I was fighting fear more than love. Fear of being inadequate, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. That fear turned me into a man who was always on the way, but never really arrived. Then life answered me, not loudly, not dramatically, with the same silence I had been avoiding. My wife became ill. At first it didn't seem serious, or maybe we didn't want it to be. A cough, fatigue, weakness. She said, "It's nothing." Then came tests, doctors, and a look from one physician that said more than words ever could. I remember the drive home that day. She stared out the window, quiet. I asked, "What's wrong?" She said, "I'm tired." That "I'm tired" wrapped itself around my throat because I understood. This wasn't one bad day. This was years. I sat beside her hospital bed, and for the first time in my life, there was nothing I could fix. No money, no effort, no connections, no plans. Nothing could solve this. That's when all the laters came back to me. Later we'll travel. Later we'll slow down. Later we'll spend a quiet day together. But now, later didn't exist. And the worst realization in the world is understanding that some laters close forever. When she passed away, there was no noise, no dramatic movement, just a house that stopped breathing. Her clothes were still there. Her cup still sat where she left it. The bed became only half full. And for the first time, I understood how much of my life had never really been lived. Not that there was no love, not that there were no good moments, but I wasn't present enough. And when you lose someone, you begin to see every place where you could have been better, but weren't. A few months later, I finally looked through old photographs. Photos hurt because in them you're smiling without knowing how many chances you were losing in those same moments. Then my own body began to protest. Fatigue, pain, heart palpitations. At first I said what I had always said. It's nothing, just stress. That's how I lived, ignoring warnings, until one night a strange pain spread across my chest. I was so afraid I could hear my own heartbeat. Doctors, tests, scans, more tests, and then the sentence that divides life in two. You need to take this seriously. That day I sat in my car and cried, not from pain, but from the thought that maybe I had spent my entire life preparing to live instead of actually living. That's when I understood what had slowly been taken from me wasn't just time. It was me, the courage to be myself, the courage to say no, the courage to choose moments, real relationships, health, and most of all, the feeling of being alive. I didn't lose my life. No one took it from me. I gave it away, slowly, through delay, through fear, through pretending, through pleasing others through just a little longer. Now I'm 71 years old. Every wrinkle on my face reminds me of decisions I didn't make. Every gray hair marks days I believed I could fix later. And I say this because I know many people are living exactly like this right now. They aren't bad people. They're trying. They're responsible. They're running. But somewhere inside, something is slowly fading. If you feel that too, that quiet heaviness in your chest, that sense that something important is slipping away, please take it seriously. Because life is rarely lost through catastrophe. It doesn't usually end in one loud moment. Life is lost quietly, through postponement, through exhaustion, through days that all look the same, through saying later, through believing there will always be more time. I believed that. For decades, I believed I could fix things later, that I could love better later, that I could slow down later, that I could become myself later. Later became years, and years became a life. I can't go back. I can't reclaim the moments I missed. I can't sit beside the people who waited for me. I can't live the days I kept postponing. But you still can, and I don't mean changing everything. I don't mean quitting your job or starting over. I mean something much smaller and much harder. Today, not tomorrow, choose one honest moment. One phone call you've been delaying. One embrace you've been rushing past. One walk without checking the time. One gentle no to something that's draining you. One deep breath, taken slowly without guilt. Because life doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for presence. And before this ends, there's something I want to ask you. If even one sentence in these words touched something inside you, don't ignore it. Write it down. Tell me. What in your life is slowly disappearing? Your time, your peace, your health, your relationships, or yourself? You don't need to explain everything. You don't need to be poetic. Even one honest sentence is enough. Because sometimes one quiet truth shared at the right moment can wake someone up before it's too late. Take care of your time. It's more fragile than you think. And please, don't waste yourself.